Hi everyone. Seems like I made a bit of an impression on the old algorithm, so I reckon this is the way to go, because I'm an attention-seeking little shit. Without further ado, let's get into this. I thought I'd go over the history of my nation's second biggest export to complaining, being an indecisive deadbeat. Now, this may seem like a new thing that popped up with the election of the PM with the best haircut since Callahan in July 2024, but actually, we Brits have been umming and ahhing about everything for a while now. Our story begins in the late 60s, where professional short king and pipe mogger Harold Wilson noticed that his plans for economic growth were not good, and that Europe, who we fucking saved from the Nazis in World War II, was somehow doing better than us economically. In 1967, Wilson decided to reluctantly pursue an application into the European Economic Community, a club where every member state shared each other's shit. This, he thought, would basically let us leech off of Europe's better inflation, GDP and cuisine without actually having to put any effort in.
What we are trying to do, said Mr. Wilson, here visiting President Surrogate, is to make a practical reality of a vision. The vision of a united Europe.
As well as this, we'd be keeping in the military huddle against the big scary USSR, which was headed by part-time Russian and full-time eyebrow Leonid Brezhnev. However, this bastard right here, Charles de Gaulle, rejected our application because we'd been sucking off the Americans too much for his liking, and his shriveled ego was sorely in need of a good stroking. So, we were stuck all on our lonesome. Until the 1970 election. Britain, in a surprisingly inclusive move, dumped the moggalicious Wilson in favour of Britain's first ever aquatic PM, a blobfish called Ted Heath. Ted liked sailing because he was a Tory, and he liked Europe because they had a generous trade setup and a big sexy military. Heath, like Wilson, saw the EEC as an opportunity to save money. But unlike Wilson, his party wasn't dragging their feet over joining the club. After 3 years of Britain going to absolute shit due to strikes, an oil shock, and having to deal with Heath's obnoxious voice inflections, Teddy Boy got us into Europe. We were enthusiastic, we were excited, we were, not sure. Within a year, Heath called an election. In the face of more strikes, runaway prices, and an unclear mandate, he asked Britain, and the electorate replied, "We're not sure, but definitely not you, mate." And Heath was out on his arse. Getting to the point, Wilson was dragged back into number 10 as a minority leader, and a year later called for a European referendum.
On Thursday, vote yes. Keep Britain in Europe.
This was confusing to Europe, as the UK had spent over a decade negotiating its way into Europe's juicy single market, and now was suddenly having second thoughts. Partially due to a white paper that was published in 1971 that was worried about the size of our contributions. The referendum ended with a conclusive 67% yes, which was even more confusing as we then spent the next 41 years complaining about being there. Such is the way of Brits. More importantly, 1975 was when my mum was born, so yeah, love you mum. I made this video because while I was learning about this debacle at A-level, I couldn't help but find it funny. It seems more and more to me that we can't stop bickering, even about things we all apparently wanted. I can only imagine what Europe thought, inviting this strange old has-been of a nation to their little club, then immediately ummed and ahed about staying. Speaking of, any Europeans in my viewership, please do give me feedback, and help a Brit out, yeah? Speak to your grandparents. What was it like having us in? Were we a pain in the arse? Was Thatcher that mean to your diplomats in the 80s? And what the hell do you make of us now that we've left? Anyway, I'm enjoying making these videos, so expect more in the future. Alright then, ta-ra.